Yeah, really, I'm really honored to have this opportunity to talk about Web3 at ETH Shanghai. So the title of my talk will be Web3 Challenges and Opportunities. I will do it more from a Hong Kong perspective because Web3 has been a really, really hot topic in Hong Kong. So, just many of you probably already saw the news about Hong Kong, its desire to develop digital economy and Web3 and blockchain and digital assets. So this is more from a Hong Kong perspective. So essentially, the news come out of Hong Kong in recent time has been, Hong Kong is all in on Web3 digital economy. We have actually, starting from October 31st last year, Hong Kong made a major announcement on policy statement on development of virtual assets in Hong Kong, in which it really outlined its desire to significantly strengthen its presence in virtual assets and Web3. Okay, so I think many of you have already heard about it. There was also a very strong commit to the development of metaverse, for example. Okay, and one of the thing is it's has after. I mean, since the October 1st policy announcement, Hong Kong has been steadily making progress. For example, the VASP license have been granted to several organizations, which essentially will allow retail customer to buy virtual assets. Okay. In fact, this can be traced back to the 25th anniversary of Hong Kong's handover in the speech by President Xi Jinping, which actually has laid the foundation for this initiative. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly summarize what is in that speech and why it's actually relevant. Okay, so in fact, if you the relevant part of the speech can be boiled down to three things. Okay, one is Hong Kong must very vigorously promote technological innovation and become a benchmark for China's innovation creation. Okay, and the second part is Hong Kong must pursue a path of balanced development. Okay? Now, this is also very well known to the outside world that Hong Kong has a very, very high Gini index. Okay, so, and it's one of the most polarized societies on the economic side. You have a lot of billionaires, but also there are many young people who are looking for opportunities to really have a good career. Okay, so so one of the mandate from that speech is Hong Kong needs to provide opportunities for future development of young people. Okay, but the third one I think is the most relevant here, which this is something I want to highlight, and it's relevant to this particular talk I have, is Hong Kong is to fully leverage the advantages of one country, two system policy. Okay, so this is being repeatedly emphasized in the speech. And it asks Hong Kong to be boldly experiment and to create a favorable innovation environment. Okay, so I think when you look at all three, it's all related to the development of Web3 digital economy. Okay, so the digital economy, in my view, can best reflect. I mean, by vigorous developing Web3 digital economy can best reflect these three goals. So let's, before we talk about Web3, and you already heard, okay, so I'm going to be really brief here. Of course, we have to go back to Web2, which is characterized by these very gigantic, monolithic, behemoth in internet. Okay, so for example, okay, if you look at the market value of Apple, or it's actually doesn't even have to be Apple, you can take some others. Okay, it's actually bigger than the size of Italy's economy and all developing countries except China. Okay, so it's really becoming it's becoming a huge entity here. Okay? And of course, when you look at other Web 2.0, I mean, company that we typically associate with Web 2.0, like Google, Amazon, you see their profits being growing at a astronomical pace. Okay, in the last 15 years or so. Now, so the question is, I mean, we've been talking about Web3. I think different people have many different definitions about Web3, and here I think I don't need to spend too much time here, but still want to talk about some of the things I've been thinking about. Okay, so this is the concept of Web3. It's of course very well known to everybody here. The concept was first proposed by Gavin Wood in 2014, so you all know that. In some way, Web 2.0 has been a highly unfair has a highly unfair policy that grants platform owners of all content, okay, the ownership of all content, regardless of who created. Okay, let me just take an example of Facebook. Okay, Meta, which everybody I think likes to take Facebook or Meta as an example. When Facebook first came, I think I really was a big fan of it. Okay, so I was able to use Facebook to find some friends, or high school classmates, or college friends whom I not contacted for many years. Okay, I think really Facebook since its inception has played actually has played a really good role for connecting each other. So this is very well welcome and was very well needed as well. But as it developed, you could see who made the Facebook very large. Okay, so it's people like you and me. We actually use a platform. We constantly look for people to recommend them to the platform, and we post a lot of content. Some of them are our original content. Some of them, of course, we forward. We just pass around the contents. But basically, it's the users who really made the platform vibrant. Okay? Now, what did the users, the including many content creators, get out of it? Okay. In fact, if you look at it, of course, it's close to zero. Okay, so in many ways, this embodies some of the problems we're trying to change today. From the Web 2.0 era. Okay? Now, of course, the concept of Web 3 is that the content belongs to the creators. Platforms should assist creators in building value and receiving rewards. Okay. And one of the things is, especially when you look at Gavin Wood's original definition of Web3, it emphasizes decentralization and distributed systems. Okay, I think that also makes sense. Okay, however, personally, I believe that this is not really essential. Okay, so I think the concept of Web3, of course, I still see that in the future, the large majority of Web3 project will be decentralized and distributive, but I think it can also play a role in centralized or semi-centralized form. Okay. Now, the other thing I think so the other important aspect of Web3 is a re-evaluation, re-recognition of value. Today, of course, we see popular examples that are, these include GameFi and X to earn, okay, play to earn, learn to earn, that sort of thing. Okay, so why re-evaluation, re-recognition of value? So I often tell people that whatever you do, or little things you do, or other people do, you may not think it has value, but it actually does have value. Okay, so for example, there's most of you know the Web3 project named Step In. Okay, so you earn some coins and by running or walking. Okay, so so the so one question you may ask is, by running, what kind of value do I create other than for myself? Okay, so why should I be earning anything by running? Okay, so it turned out when you think more carefully, it does have broader value than just a value to oneself. For example, people who regularly walk and do a little bit running, in fact, are healthier, right? So in that regard, they actually significantly lower, I mean, they contribute to the lowering of healthcare burdens of whatever a region or country or just even the company, for example. Okay. Now, when you are healthy, you are in good mood, you actually have higher productivity, so it benefits the company. And you're in better mood, it benefits your colleagues. So all these are values. I'm not advocating that these values should be monetized. Okay. However, one of the key concepts in Web3 is you do want to reevaluate the value created from activities and from activities you otherwise may not realize. Okay, and of course, Metaverse and Web3 are very closely related. Okay, so I think another thing is, in the age of growing inequality, Web3 is well aligned with co-prosperity. I think this is a very welcome concept. Okay, so I'm just quickly saying a little bit about Metaverse. I think no one knows has a precise definition of what is the Metaverse. So we've been talking quite a bit about Metaverse, but I don't think anyone has a really precise knows what's the precise definition. But let me just attempt to give a very vague definition. Okay, so Metaverse, in my view, is just an ultimate ecosystem of advanced digital economy. When the digital economy develops into a certain stage, the whole ecosystem, in my view, is just going to be the Metaverse. Okay, this is obviously not very precise, but I think for the discussion, it's actually good enough. So in other words, here when we talk about Metaverse, we're really also talking about the really the deep development of digital economy. Okay. Of course, many people mistakenly equate Metaverse with immersive experiences like AR, VR, MR. Because now we have seen also the hardware innovation by Apple, for example. Okay, and also people tend to think Metaverse being digital twins, play to earn, this kind of thing. I think these are only a very small part of Metaverse. Okay, we haven't really even entered Metaverse 1.0 yet. So it's in the if you look at the digital economy development, it's really has a long way to go. Okay, so what are the challenges? Because we do want to talk about the challenges of Web3. If you I think we all know there are some of them, like scalability, everybody knows. Okay, so a distributed system have very limited capacity. That's a well-known fact. Okay. However, technologies such as layer 2 and sharding can partially address it. Okay, so so this may not be the biggest issue. Okay, but I do think sustainability, as we have seen from the current Web3 project, is a big problem. Okay, GameFi and X-to-earn business models, many of them face significant sustainability issues. Okay, so when the token price drops and these platforms begin to lose appeal, okay, and even when the token price go up, still the question will be who is actually paying for it. Okay, so many of them, in after a bear market, are being viewed with suspicion of some kind of Ponzi scheme, surrounding quite a few Web3 projects. So I do think that today one of the biggest problem is sustainability, and what will be the right business model for Web3 projects that has that's sustainable. Okay, so we have seen some hopes. Okay, the development of a healthy and sustainable Web3 ecosystem will require, and that's actually a big challenge, will require breaking the barriers set by Web2 monopolies and many other traditional barriers. Okay, so you have to break these barriers. How do you manage to challenge, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, when you cannot break the barrier just by, so having these small, Web3 come to start with, I think it will be a big challenge. Okay, so because there are so many areas already being set, and the business model there is very well established, and people do find it quite convenient. So really, how do you break those barriers? Okay, so I think the opportunity has come. That is the recent development of AI technologies. Okay? So we're entering such as ChatGPT and Midjourney. Okay, so this, in my view, is a watershed moment for breaking those barriers for a true emergence of Web3 era. Okay, so I would like to elaborate a little bit more. Okay, so we are really rapidly entering an AI GC era. Okay, so this is not really AI 2.0. I think we know many have used the term AI 2.0 era. I think after ChatGPT, we are in AI 2.5. Okay, we're not quite in the AI 3.0 era yet. Okay, AI 2.5, it's mainly characterized by AI GC and large language models like ChatGPT or GPT-4 and Claude. Okay, so in this era, anybody, I mean, you can be a creator. You can see from my the title here. Okay, so if you look at all these four, I mean, this is pretty famous. Like the last one actually appeared in some fake news. Okay, so this image was actually created by AI. Okay, so and many actually could not tell this was actually generated by AI. Okay, that's why I say you can be a creator. This is scary, but it's also a good thing. In fact, it shows the power of AI of breaking barriers. Okay. So let me be more specific with a few examples. Okay, so here I have three pictures. Okay, so the bottom left image. This was an image submitted to a digital art competition, the Aspen Digital Art Prize. Okay, and it won the grand prize. Only after it won the grand prize, the creator actually told people that he did not come to pick up the prize. He actually said this image was created by Midjourney. Okay. I mean, to me, this was a fairly stunning, piece of artwork. Okay? And even some of the judges for the prize said, had they known that this image was created by Midjourney, they would still have granted, voted this image for the grand prize. Okay, it actually showed the power of AI GC. Okay. Now the top left image was a friend of mine's. Come from a friend of mine. They have a movie company. When they made a movie, they have to design scenes. Okay, so there will be several scenes, and then for several scenes they have an idea. Then they will send it to artists to for a few to actually draw the image. Okay. And typically, for many movie making companies, they have these artists and designers, and they would come up with a scene, in their mind, and then they send the idea to a team, subcontract out to a team. For example, in my friend's case, a team in North Korea. Okay, because North Korea actually has many artists. Okay, so they're typically very good at this. Okay. But today, my friend told me that they're using Midjourney. Actually, it has become much more efficient, and of course, it doesn't cost very little. Okay, to create those, and they can create them very, very quickly, much faster than having sending it out to subcontract out, and with a turnover period of about 1 week or more. Okay, and this they can do it in 1 day. Okay, and the third one called Alice and the Sparkle. This was a children's book, has 12 images and a story. Okay, and the author, by the way, the book actually, I saw the review, was quite good. Okay, so the author actually has done this in 1 weekend. Okay, so the 12 images were drawn by Midjourney, and the story was written by ChatGPT. Okay, so that's why you could do it in 1 weekend. Okay, so what does that say? Okay, it says actually the bar for creating value or creativity has been significantly lowered. Okay, to the point that people with previously have absolutely no ability to break these barriers now has a tool to do so. Okay. So in fact, this is kind of interesting that Midjourney itself, with already a pretty significant market value evaluation, has a total of 11 employees, and they're distributed. They're collaborating over Discord. Okay. To me, Midjourney is already my idea, or at least in my view, a sort of like already a Web3 company. Okay, so there was another text-to-image platform called Stable Diffusion. Many of you probably already also use. That's an open source platform, and it was started by a high school teacher in Germany. Okay, so it has a very similar story, and you can see that once we enter this AIGC era, it's going to be, so you are going to be able to see explosion in creativity, and the contents and the barrier. And I'll touch on some other fields as well. So here was another example. I just used GPT-4. I say, okay, I would like to start a Web3 startup using ChatGPT to provide financial services. Why don't you write me a BP? Okay, so within seconds, GPT-4 just gave me the outline of the BP. Then of course I could take each bullet item and further expand it. So in a way, I can probably finish this BP in an hour or so. Okay, and if you look at what it says, it's actually very very reasonable. Of course, this is starting from ground zero. If for this particular company, I may already have some idea, so I could also add, tell ChatGPT that these are the things I plan to do, and it will give me, incorporate whatever I say that, and put it incorporate into the write-up. Okay, so what I'm saying is numerous new projects, okay, plugins and project-based based on ChatGPT, a similar technology spring up, solving specific problem. To me, these vertical applications, okay, will be a key to the sort of the emergence of a entirely new Web3 ecosystem. Okay. So what I'm saying here, so the title, of course, is AIGC as an enabler of Web3. Okay, so I already talked about really breaking barriers, and sustainability is the other thing. Okay, so we already mentioned that Web3 companies, a lot of Web3 platform has sustainability problem. Partly because if you want to break into, if you want to sustain, you have to have sustainable profit, sustainable business model with, sustained profit. Okay, and if the if the cost of creation is so big, that makes it very, very difficult. That's why you see a lot of Web3 companies from before are focused on GameFi and X to earn. Okay, now with the barriers being broken, I think there will be many, many more companies that can lead to sustainable a sustainable Web3 model. Okay, so in fact, in my view, Web3 might even become a norm in the future development sectors. Okay, who would have thought, for example, one time Google was actually nervous about it because they fell behind in the large language model. OpenAI, suddenly leaped in front of it, so they become very nervous. In fact, I spoke with quite a few executives from financial company. They are also worried. Okay, so let me give you an example. If you remember the movie Big Short by Michael Lewis. Okay, so the protagonist in that movie, or the hero in that movie, actually shorted all these subprime based financial product, right? So even though they were rated AAA, okay, why he did that? Because he actually read all the prospectus, and he knew. I mean, he had some kind of Asperger or something. Okay, so he actually knew that these product cannot be AAA. They are junk. Okay, so he was determined that they will collapse. Okay, so most people didn't really bother to read these prospectus because the financial company packaged them in such a way that no one has a stomach to read 120 pages of small letters, these prospectus, very, very boring prospectus. Okay, but in the GPT era, okay, you could actually, for instance, PDF GPT, you could just dump that document into GPT, and it will strip all the BS and give you a summary of what this product is about. It will be very difficult to hide information in those noise. Okay, and then you can interactively work with the AI system, with ChatGPT, to actually ask questions and to allow you to understand the model in a very short period of time. Okay, maybe just a few minutes or maybe half an hour. Okay, of course, I mean, this is another topic that's the danger of AI 3.0. As I say, we're not in AI 3.0. So once AI becomes so much more powerful, then we have to worry about other things. But for today's sake, let's not worry about it. Okay. So the other point I want to make, my time is going to be up. So it's a Web3 digital economy and globalization. And this is actually, from the, because, we are in China. So from the Chinese perspective, okay, so we have seen retreat from globalization. Okay, so the reality is actually it's not really a globalization retreat, but really there is, the world is now divided. You have the, China, Russia, and all the others, and the West and Africa, all these countries. Okay, so there was an effort really to redraw the globalization order, especially many wants to see China out of it. Okay, so I mean that's just a fact. Okay, whether I'm a big believer in globalization. Okay, I like to see that we go back to the previous era. Okay, so where and there was a true globalization, and people can really, collaborate and cooperate in a rather in a rather friendly environment. Okay, but that era may be gone. Okay. So the voice certainly become much louder for deglobalization after the Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, so yet in my view, digital economy, especially Web3 digital economy, is completely globalized. Okay, it's immune to geopolitics. Okay, so I think it's actually in the best interest of China to fully embrace Web3. Okay? And furthermore, digital economy is really the fastest growing part of the economy. It's now account for about 40% of the GDP. Okay, even in China. Okay, so So under this particular light, I'm actually optimistic, but I do also have some concern. Okay, I think the optimistic is I think China, obvious from the Chinese angle, has already a fairly advanced environment ecosystem for AI. It's actually now it's trying to catch up in AI GC, but I think the time will eventually come, and it's not going to be very long down the road. Okay, so China has a very, very solid foundation for digital economy. But the concern is also real. China now has banned the public blockchains. Okay, so for various reasons, some of them are very legit reasons. Okay, however, it does artificially decouple China from the rest of the world as far as Web3 ecosystem is concerned. Okay, and from my point of view, I'm in Hong Kong. That's why I say Hong Kong perspective. I think this is where Hong Kong can play a major, major role. Okay, and the bridge can be the bridge under the one country, two systems. Okay. The other concern I have is, as I already said, AIGC, especially vertical applications of large language models and these other text to images platforms, is going to be a key for Web3, future Web3 department. And while in China, ChatGPT is actually not open to China. Okay, in fact, it's not even open to Hong Kong, but it's easier to sort of get over this. And China actually had its own firewall to block that. Okay, so it's a double whammy in some aspect. Okay, so I think I hope this will there will be a healthy AIGC environment soon in China that can be more open. Okay? But overall, I think China will eventually be one of the leaders in digital 3 economy. Okay, so I'm quite optimistic. I think I'll just stop here. Thank you very much.